Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now this is a bit of a weird one. No hi-fi in this. This is going to be me. Basically, I did a bit of a sort out, well, a bit of a rearrangement the other day with my records, and because everything's all over the place, it's all mixed up. Everything's trying to find bands aren't all together; they're all spread out. And I pulled out all my Beatles recordings because I've always been quite a major sort of Beatles fan. Really, I've always loved the Beatles, right from being quite small. Which all started off with buying the Red album, the double red album, and sort of expanded out. Oh, I've got to get more of this, and expanded out. Which is probably why I'm a little bit against streaming, because I think with streaming you tend to, oh yeah, Beatles, yeah, oh there's all the albums, I can play that, and it just gives you the whole thing all at once. I spent many years building a collection of Beatles albums together and individually, and things that related to and everything else. So what I'm going to do today, and this will end up in a competition, because at the end I'm going to ask a question. So you're going to have to watch it. I'm going to ask a question at the end, and the answer to the question will pass before your eyes at some point. So sorry about this. You're going to have to look at my entire Beatles collection to take part. You don't really need to, but you can skip to the end and just, if you know the answer to the question, you know the answer to the question. But anyway, the prize will be a Cheshire Audio mug, not with chamomile tea in it. I'll add, because that probably would spill. What I'm probably going to do is the first couple of correct answers that are emailed to me. Don't leave any answers in the comments, because that's a bit unfair for everybody else, really. If you just email me the answer at the email address is at the end of the recording. So yeah, there you go. So let's start. And I'm going to need that. I'll have to break at one point, because I've sorted some out, then I'll have to sort some more out, and then some more out. So be warned. So first album, obviously Please Please Me, stereo. At this point they were sort of, I'm going to try not to go off on tangents with this, to be honest. I basically was sort of going to go and run it through, but as you know, I can't just sort of do that. I think at this point they were still pretty much just a Merseybeat band, and the reason they got the recording contract was because they had personality. There was loads of bands around this era in Liverpool that sounded like the Beatles. It was kind of the thing. I mean, there was Rose Storm and the Hurricanes, which was Ringo's band, sounded like the Beatles. They all sounded like the Beatles. But yeah, but the thing with the Beatles was they were very good songwriters. I mean, there's quite a few covers on this, but that was sort of pressure of management, really, I think, because they had a massive catalogue of recordings. So yeah, Please Please Me in stereo. Better than that, Please Please Me in mono. Mono versions are always, that's the way it was recorded. The stereo version really was just a mono track of a drum kit, a mono track of a vocal, and they just left and righted them, which is always really a bit strange. The mono version is a lot more integrated. Musically sounds better. It's much more, because that's sort of an exciting sound than the mono version. With the Beatles, again, this is more of their own work, actually, with the Beatles. Actually, I quite like this album. It's got Money on it. It's got All My Loving's on this. It's quite early, which was sort of them finding their own feet a little bit, really. There's things like Roll Over Beethoven, which everybody did. I think all the bands of that era were doing Roll Over Beethoven. Hard Day's Night. This is from the film, obviously. I think pretty much all their own music on this. Yeah, no, there's no covers on this. By this point, they're doing all their own stuff. Where are we? Yeah, I should have known better, and If I Fell and stuff like that. Really, I was expecting there to be a track on there, and it isn't on there. It's, really into the Beatles stuff. I can never remember what albums the tracks are on. Beatles for Sale. This one, you don't see this very often. Beatles for Sale. About this point, we're up to 64. I'm a Loser, great track. Honey Don't. That's one of the first tracks that Ringo sings on, and it's a great track, actually. Obviously, it's a cover. But great track. 8 Days a Week is on this. Words of Love, which is a great track. I'll Follow the Sun, which is a great track on that. And I know in the comments there's going to be people saying, don't rate the Beatles, never liked them. the one I hear quite a lot is very overrated. If you just look at how prolific they were, whether you like the music or not, there's quite a lot of big artists that had, generally they'll have 5, 6, 7 really good songs in them. The Beatles, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of really good tracks, and it's just never ending. Help. That doesn't say help, incidentally, in Semaphore. I can't remember what it does. It doesn't actually say anything. It's just random letters, because it was more artistically, worked more better artistically like that. Help, yeah, obviously Help. Where am I looking for? There's a particular track I'm looking for, and I can't think which album it's on. Yesterday's on this, obviously. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. I think that might be one of my favourite Beatles tracks. Certainly top 10. Better move on. 65. Rubber Soul. This is sort of intermittently, because it sort of fluctuates, my favourite Beatles album. No Air Man, Norwegian Wood, In My Life, Michelle, The Word, which is, yeah, so it's, what else is on there? God, I say, Drive My Cars on it. And there was a change coming with this. They'd gone away from being a Mersey beat band, and they were finding their own sort of soul, really, with this. So yeah, Rubber Soul, great album. Intermittently, my favourite Beatles album, Revolver, sort of fluctuate between the two, really. Eleanor Rigby, I'm Only Sleeping, which is a great track. Actually, I really like I'm Only Sleeping. I think that was around the time that Yoko appeared, and I think I'm Only Sleeping was kind of a bit of influence from there. For No One's on this. Taxman. Heard an interview with Paul Weller recently about Taxman. He said, people have always said that the bass line on The Start by The Jam sounds a bit like the bass line on Taxman. He said, no, it's not. It's a direct copy of the bass line from Taxman. So yeah, which said something really. Great track. George Harrison bemoaning the fact that I think it was 95% tax for really high earners at the time. Yeah, Yosemite Rain. Yeah. So great album. Like I said, there's I sort of fluctuate with that one. Not a favourite album, weirdly, and you'll find out why it's weirdly in a moment. Sergeant Pepper. I never totally got Sergeant Pepper, but it seems to be the one that everybody refers to as as their greatest achievement. I can see that it's an achievement from the sort of collective idea of it. I'm not sure whether it was a little bit too contrived or whatever, but there are some quite good tracks on it. I think this is my original version of it. Little Help From Our Friends. I mean, that's a great track. Shows what a good performer Ringo is. I sort of question in my own mind whether I actually prefer the Joe Cocker version of it. Joe Cocker's version is superb. But yeah, there's some good stuff on it really. But it's listening to Chadwick Diamonds, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying, doesn't it really? Yeah, and like I say, Sergeant Pepper supercut version. Yeah. Sergeant Pepper Anniversary Edition, sealed, just in case. Like I say, not like Sergeant Pepper, but got 3 copies of it. And we're not necessarily in order here, I don't think. The White Album. There's some brilliant stuff on the White Album. The only thing I'd say about it is it probably should have been a single. There's an awful lot of stuff here that shouldn't be on here, that should have been on the cutting room floor, really. Saying that, Sexy Sadie's a great track. Obla-dee, Obla-da, but again, full enough might prefer the Marmalade version of that. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Blackbird's a great track. Julia's a gorgeous track on this. Cry Baby Cry, that's probably top 10 favourite Beatles tracks. And bit of a theme going here. Mobile Fidelity original master recording version of the White Album. In some ways I prefer the original to this. I think this is nice and clear and punchy, but the bass is a bit overblown on it, so it's, I don't know, I'm not sure about that. I sort of fluctuate between the two. Occasionally, this is my favourite Beatles album. There's such I mean, I think this album just holds together. So if you listen to it as a whole, it just holds together. Considering they were completely falling apart at this point, Come Together, Something, Here Comes the Sun. Pretty much everything on here, really. There isn't really. I don't think there's really a weak track on this. I Want You, which is just probably again top 10 favourite Beatles tracks. I Want You. Song about just going through the bathroom window, which actually was a story about a fan that managed to sneak into Paul McCartney's house through the bathroom window. Got a song written about it, which was obviously made it worthwhile. Yellow Submarine, album of the film. That's quite decent stuff on here actually. It's first side is their stuff. Second side is sort of George Martin film score. All Together Now is a great track. Yellow Submarine's obviously a great track. Only a Northern Song is quite interesting because that's George Harrison saying that whatever I write, it'll be successful. And if you listen to that, it's all out of tune. It's all purposefully discordant, and just saying it doesn't matter what I do. Which I thought was a bit cynical perhaps, but probably possibly true. All You Need Is Love obviously is on that. There's a bit of a gaping hole now because I've not found all the albums. I've definitely got at least 2 copies of Magical Mystery Tour. Can't find them. I've got the Magical Mystery Tour EP as well, which is again album of the film. Now we're on to Let It Be. Final album that wasn't actually the final recording. I can't remember which way it works now. But that's a good album actually, and it's just sort of them individually doing their own thing really, and there's some good stuff on it. Across the Universe, which I would say probably is my favourite, but I'll come to that in a moment. Across the Universe probably is my favourite Beatles track. Genius bit of songwriting, that is, absolutely genius. From John Lennon, very poetry. I mean, it's sort of Joni Mitchell levels of poetry, that is. Another favourite, there's a compilation, but it's got some good stuff on it, and it's got the top of the Abbey Road studio live version of Don't Let Me Down on it, which is fantastic, really fantastic. Where are we up to? And then we're starting to get onto the mad stuff. Beatles rarities, things that weren't actually as rare as sort of made out German versions of things, different takes of things. We have a picture of the Butcher cover, which I would love to get a copy of, the original. Expensive. Another rarities on here. I think one of these, it might be this one. This is very similar, I think it's pretty much the same album as the other. Yeah, this has got another version of this is my favourite version of Across the Universe. And I think this was the one, and I can't read it because I've not got my glasses on, that was done, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this version was done for the World Wildlife Fund, and it's a different version, and it starts with geese taking off a pond, and you can sort of hear the splashing and the wings flapping, and then the music comes in, and it works really well. I really like that version of it. So I've got a few bits of live stuff. Beatles at Hollywood Bowl is basically the sound of fans screaming, and in the background you can hear the band. My dad went to a Beatles concert, weirdly. Not interested in music, not interested in the Beatles, but he was a policeman and he was doing the security there, and he said he spent the entire concert with his back to him, which probably made his day, to be honest. Another dad story. Apparently my dad pretended to arrest Ringo Starr once to get him past a load of fans because he'd lost. Because he'd sort of, as my dad said, he'd bottled out of racing to the limousine. So my dad had said, "Come out the side door this way," grabbed him by the neck, put your head down, and marched him out, pretended he'd arrest him, and took him round into one of the police vans and took him off to the concert that way. Anyway, apparently. Then we're on to MFP version. That's volume 2. I'm keeping it in order, obviously, just a straightforward compilation. MFP was a sort of cheap label in the UK. I don't know whether it was a worldwide label, but always had quite sort of cheaply done graphics on them, and quite thin, whatever. Good stuff though. There was a Beef Art album on MFP. I think it was Unconditionally Guaranteed was on MFP, and that was a good album actually. Not very Beef Art like, but it was a good album. And obviously, Volume 1 exists as well. Quite good choice of things on it actually. Very thin very thin vinyl those. This, I think at one point, wasn't this the best-selling Beatles album of all time? Might be wrong on that. Another compilation. This was sort of a worldwide sort of hit, I think. Got all the singles on it. And then we come into the obvious. I'm going to go this way first. 66, 60, 67, 70, double compilation. That was my second album that I've ever bought. Also got that on blue vinyl. And then we've got my first ever Beatles album, which was the 62, 66 compilation. Pretty much worn out, I think that really. I've probably owned that for, oh, how long have I owned that? 45 years, 45 years possibly. Doesn't matter thinking about, does it really? So yeah, that's the Beatles bit. I'm taking a put. Whoa. See how it works out. I'll get the phone and we'll move on. Right, we'll move on to Paul McCartney. Not my favourite Beatle, actually. I don't know. I think the thing with John and Paul is they needed each other. I think John had a tendency to get very angry, and you know, lyrically he was brilliant, but he did tend to get quite angry and go off on a, you know, in a bit of a rage with his lyrics sometimes. Whereas Paul went very, very twee in the other direction, and he was more of a showman. He was a great melody writer, and I think the lyrics of John and the melodies of Paul, and the sort of finding that midpoint was the sort of magic of it, really. Some of the albums they did on their own have some fantastic tracks on, but it tends to be there's one or two per album rather than the whole album being brilliant. Apart from there's the odd exception, but anyway, let's start for Paul. The McCartney album, kind of done when the Beatles were still together, I think this one. Recorded in his studio at home, I think. The one track that is really good on this actually is Maybe I'm Amazed, and that's kind of that sort of anthemic thing that Paul's very good at. It's one of those tracks, and it's superb. It's yeah, really like that track. Not a lot else on it, to be fair. It's just quite a nice album, but it's just there's nothing memorable on it particularly. Ram is the next one. Up to we're getting to about 71 now. 71. Again, quite a nice album. Nothing memorable on it really. Again, recorded at home. I think he's just basically left the Beatles and just doing stuff he enjoys doing, and I don't think he's, for once with Paul, I don't think he's too worried about it being commercial. Probably didn't really need it to be, I suppose, but it was just keeping, you know, I suppose if you've got that sort of need to write, I suppose you've got to keep it going. And I think certainly Ram seems to have that sort of feel about it. This is probably one of my favourite McCartney albums, really. So Wings Wild Life. Again, a bit twee in some respects, but there's it's quite a nice listen. The title track, Wild Life, is very good. Again, another sort of anthemic, sort of big sounding track. Yeah, I really like that. Sort of, you know, it's not one you hear particularly played on the radio, but it's one of those, if you hear it, you'll recognise it. But yeah, a great track. I think that probably his best all round, really. Band on the Run, and I think this one, there isn't really a bad track on it. It's superb all the way through. Just looking on the front, we've got Michael Parkinson, Christopher Lee. What was it? Come to me, what his name is? Yeah, it was. What was it? Anyway, should have thought about this before. Was that John Conte? Or was that John Conte? Can't say. Yeah, I thought it was quite funny that Michael Parkinson was on it. I can't remember. I'm terrible. I can't remember names. It's annoying me what his name is now. You could put it in the comments. Loved his sense of humour. He's very dry. Sense of humour. I keep thinking Sigmund Freud, but obviously that's something completely different. I'm not going off on tangents, honestly. Red Rose Speedway. Yeah, it's quite a nice album. Actually, quite like Red Rose. Again, lots of sort of random stuff on it, but holds together as an album quite well. Little Lamb Dragonfly is quite a good track. What are we up to? About 74, possibly. Venus and Mars I like. Actually, there's nothing massively memorable on it, but it's quite a nice Venus and Mars, the track's quite nice. There's like a reprise at the end, which is nice. But it's just, yeah, just kind of random stuff on here. But it's quite a nice sort of feel to it, that album. Don't know why, got 2 copies. Brings at the speed of sound. This is kind of, I think by this point, I think music generally was going a little bit downhill anyway. At the end of the 70s, it all went a little bit bland somehow. But this has got some good, I think it's got Let 'Em In on it. It's quite a good track. Can't think there's anything much else particular on that. Like I say, not totally my favourite Beatle really. We shall find out in a minute. London Town. This has got. I should remember. I can't. Nothing of consequence on it. I can't remember. I think, full of this one I bought quite late on. I didn't buy this until probably 2-3 years ago because I didn't actually have it, so I had to have it. Obviously, I don't think I've really ever played it more than once. Back to the Egg I like. I really like Back. Yeah, this was again. There's nothing particularly well known on it. Also, I Am Sir's a really good track. Spin It On's a good track. Getting Closer. Yeah. Yeah, I think that works well. That's quite a nice album. That's we're up to 1979, so we're coming to the end of the 70s. McCartney 2 coming up. Waterfalls is a nice track on that actually. Again, sort of holds together a little bit. Nothing exceptional really at that time. There was other artists doing better things by this time, I think, really. But like I say, 1 or 2 reasonable on it. Last one I've got now, Tug of War, which actually is surprisingly good. I quite like Tug of War, but that's the most recent McCartney album I've got. I haven't got any of the more anything after that, which I probably will have to sort out at some point. But yeah, so that's the end of McCartney. Doing a little break, another little sip of my tea, and we'll move on to George Harrison. Okay, so we're moving on to George Harrison. It might be my favourite Beatle. Actually, I think he's probably one of the people, if you're going to meet, I think George Harrison will be the sort of probably the one to meet of all of them, really. A bit more down to earth, whatever. Towards the end of the Beatles, he sort of went off and did sort of quite experimental stuff, really. So 68, when they were doing sort of White Album-ish, sort of working on Abbey Road or whatever, he brought out Wonderwall. If you wonder where Oasis got the name from, George Harrison Wonderwall music, which is very, very experimental. A lot of sort of synthesized stuff and things like that. I think quite a lot of sort of Indian-based things and things going on in it, really. Yeah, it's just one of those for the collection, really. And very quickly after this, I think we're on to 69. Electronic Sound, George Harrison. It's quite a rare album, that actually, quite difficult to track down. Still on. This is on the Apple label, so he's still within the Apple sort of family, really. I think this might be the first album that was purely synthesizers, possibly. I think there's something about this album which has got a first about it. Again, one for the collection, really. Moving on, not necessarily in the right order. This I'm not quite sure. I'd sort of put them together. It's roughly in right. I didn't actually check whether the order's right. Concert for Bangladesh. Now this is superb. Love this. It's a triple album. I think it was the first. I mean, there had been benefit concerts before, but I think this was the first kind of all-star benefit concert. There was Ravi Shankar, who was sort of instigated it with George Harrison. Bob Dylan was there. Leon Russell, Billy Preston. I think Ringo Starr was there. Eric Clapton. There's some really good stuff on it, and it's funny enough, I think probably the weaker end of it is George's sort of content, unfortunately. But there's a brilliant set there's a whole side which is Bob Dylan, who tried to get out of it when he found out he wasn't going to be paid. Apparently, I don't know whether that's true or not. Great set by Ravi Shankar, who is Norah Jones's dad, but he taught George sitar and various sort of Indian music, whatever. What's funny about the set with Ravi Shankar is that it's right at the beginning of the concert, and there with the sitar and tablas and all that, the whole sort of little Indian orchestra ready to play, and it all goes quiet, and there's various twanging sounds and Indian-y sounds, sort of noises or whatever going on, and it pauses, and the audience go mad. There's a huge sort of applause for it, And I hear Ravi Shankar's voice sort of, well, if you're appreciating the tuning so much, I hope you enjoy the concert. Oh, that's roughly what he said anyway, which I thought was quite funny. Kind of shows that the lack of understanding of Indian culture, possibly, I don't know, but yeah, anyway, great concert that. Then he continued the triple theme, All Things Must Pass, which has actually got a few decent tracks in it. There's quite a few of the stuff of almost the tracks on All Things Must Pass that are actually also on Concert of Bangladesh. So yeah, that's an interesting one, quite like that. Then we're getting on to Darkhorse, which is actually, I quite like Darkhorse. I think he was sort of finding his own little, because again, George was quite prolific songwriting wise. Yeah, quite a nice album, quite a nice feel to it, that. I like it. 74? Yeah, 74. Also, before I put that away, that's the MFP version of it, which was available in all supermarkets. Sort of taking the back cover as a, so yeah, Darkhorse. And I think this was the start of, oh, it's still on Apple, weirdly it's still on Apple. I was going to say this was probably the first on the Darkhorse label, which is his own label. But actually still on Apple, that. Then we go to, what it's called, Living in a Material World. Again, quite nice. It's got Give Me Love on it. It's got Living in a Material World, which is yeah, it's good. Yeah, probably two good tracks on this actually. It's quite a nice album. We're up to 70. You can't tell. 75, I think that is probably. Again, it's quite prolific. Extra Texture. Can't think there was nothing outstanding on it from what I remember. No, not really, but it's quite interesting. It's got Jeb Counter on it. Leon Russell's on it. If only my eyesight was better, I'd be able to tell you so much more. Yes, basically. So, yeah, then we're on to, I'm trying to speed along, 33 and a third. This is, again, nothing totally outstanding on this, but quite a nice album. I think all George's albums are quite a nice listen, really. Nothing exceptional on this one, but it's just, yeah, nice feel to it. And we're on to, oh, well, that's cool. I'm terrible. Is it just George Harrison? I think it might be. But yeah, George Harrison. Faster. Yeah, this has got Faster on it, which I think was a tribute to, well, it's Formula 1 based. I think was it actually a tribute to somebody? Can't remember actually. Quite a decent track actually. That. Nothing much else on there that's amazing, but quite nice. I need to check whether that is just called George Harrison. I should know that. Why don't I know that? Somewhere in England. That was. I quite like that. That's got a nice. Again, nothing well known on it, but it actually there isn't really a bad track on it. It's yeah, nice listen. Then we're on to Gontrapo. I think we're up to about 1980 now. 82. Yeah, 82. So again, yeah, he's sort of. I actually feel that George Harrison sort of was good and then trailed off and then came back again. I think by the time you get to the end of the line with this, there's some, because he was sort of with travelling Wilburys and that sort of thing around this sort of time and producing some good stuff. Cloud 9, again, quite a nice album. Jeff Lynne produced. When We Was Fab, that sort of thing. And then we've got the one and only compilation that I've got, which has got Something on it, Taxman, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, My Sweet Lord, Bangladesh, which was off All Things Must Pass, isn't it? Darkhorse, off Darkhorse. So yeah, great. I don't know how many Harrison albums is there, about 12, 13, something like that. But yeah, to say, really like George Harrison. I've just sort of always sort of felt quite an attachment to him, sort of musically. I think he's, yeah, I like the way he produces music. So quick swig of the tea, and we're moving on to John Lennon. Quickly. I'm trying not to take it too long, but it's not working, is it? Okay, so we're on to John Lennon. It's not going to be long, don't worry. Right, first one. Like I say, George Harrison was producing stuff before the Beatles broke up. So was John. This is Life of the Lions. Bit of an odd one. It's sort of just basically set a tape recorder going in the house while everybody wanders around and talks various things, you know. Yeah, I think there's actually comments on the back of here, and it's George Martin, no comment, which I think is apt really. But I think angry with the world really. I think John. I think everybody blamed Yoko for the breakup of the Beatles, which wasn't totally true. I think it was kind of happening anyway. Life with the Lions is taken from, there's like a 50s radio show, like a bit of a radio sitcom called Life with the Lions, which is actually quite good if you've managed to hear it on Radio 4 Extra. It's quite a comical series actually from the 50s, but that would have been sort of his era. So anyway, Life with the Lions, that's 68, 9, might be. Then it kind of continued along a similar theme, and I won't take this out of its cover. This is two versions, which again is tape recorder, left running, about 69 I think. There's a quote from Genesis on the back about being, and they were both naked, and indeed they are if you take the cover off, but we'll not go there. Yeah, and so this one's, we're onto a Plasticono band, John Lennon Plasticono. I think this is probably my favourite of his actually, if I'm honest. I think some really good tracks on this. I think he's gone into sort of self-pity mode, I think, a little bit really. There's it's actually got Working Class Hero on it, which is quite an interesting track. But also there's Mother, obviously about the death of his mother, because I think he witnessed the death of his mother, didn't he? I think that she ran over by a bus. And he was brought up by his auntie because his parents split up and his mother couldn't cope and everything. There's also God, the track God on it, which is very, very self-pitying. The whole thing is just a repeat. Superb track actually, as long as you don't let the sort of self-pity get in the way. Saying he doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in Zimmerman, doesn't believe, and it's just a repeat of all the things he doesn't believe in. The final one is I don't believe in Beatles. Just Yoko and me, which I think, I don't know, I can see where he's going with it. I think some people get a bit irritated by, like I say, self-pity, but yeah, I like that. I think that's a good album. 71 probably, taking a long guess. Then the one that everybody knows, Imagine. Like I said, I probably prefer Plasticono band, but I think this is where he's sort of getting back into his inventiveness again. And I must admit, there are some interesting tracks on this, and I don't know whether everybody quite susses what's going on, but How Do You Sleep? That's a real dig at McCartney. There's a line on How Do You Sleep which is something like, I'll misquote it, but anyway, all you were was yesterday. Everything you were was yesterday, and now you're just another day, and that's referring to the only track that Lennon really liked in McCartney's was Yesterday, and at the time this came out, McCartney had a number one with Another Day. So you were just yesterday, and now you're just another day. So it's childish in the extreme, but quite funny. So yeah, that's Imagine. Obviously, Imagine the track. Seemed to have captured everybody really. Now this one has to be careful and cover up some things on it really. Do I cover up the word, or do I cover up a naked Richard Nixon? I'll go for the word. Sometime in New York City, 72. This is when he's starting to get very angry about everything, very politically motivated. To be fair, it is quite a good album. We've got John Sinclair, Look of the Irish, Born at Attica State, Born in Prison. There's some really good, Sunday Bloody Sunday is a really good track. Yeah, I really like this. It's good. It's a good album. It's not going to be a number one hit. It's one of those. He's doing his own thing, and he's making a point, and fair enough, really. Then he seemed to, now whether this is in order or not, I think that we're in order still. Then he seemed to want to get back to his roots a little bit, and he produced John Lennon Rock and Roll, which is loads of covers of his favourite sort of, Chuck Berry stuff, and there's Peggy Sue's on it, Stand By Me, great version of Stand By Me on this actually. I think he might have had a top 10 with that possibly. But yeah, that's good. I actually quite like that. I didn't expect to when I bought it, but I did quite like that. Then Walls and Bridges, which is Walls and Bridges and something else, and Walls and Bridges, which is something, again, a bit more sentimentality going on. This is around the time that he had his last weekend in New York, I think. I think he hung around getting very drunk with Harry Nilsson. Kind of lost the plot a bit, really. But yeah, this is sort of there's nothing sort of memorable on it particularly, but there's some reasonable tracks on it really. Whatever gets you through the nights on it. Interesting gatefold. Which I think you can sort of take it around the other side, but I won't do that. Then another MFP. I don't think I've actually got the original of this. Funny enough, I think this is one of the ones where I have got the original of this and I can't find it. Mind Games, which was a bit more commercial. Quite like this. It's some quite good tracks on it. Mind Games is a good track. Trying to think the name of it. Out of the Blues. Out of the Blues is superb. Actually, I forgot about Out of the Blue. Out of the Blue is a lovely track. So yeah, and like I said, this is the MFP, which is a cheapo. But somewhere I've got the original of that somewhere. Like I say, don't seem to have found every Beatles album. Then Double Fantasy, which was a bit of a sad really, because he sort of, as this was sort of in the charts, she was around coming into the charts. He was shot. So this is 1980. Not a bad album actually. Not a bad album. Much more commercial, really. Milk and Honey, I think was a bit of a. I can't remember. I think this was a sort of a putting together of things that were already recorded afterwards. So this is 84. Yeah, that was done. That sort of was put together by Yoko later on, as was Heart Play, which is that one, which is recorded interviews for Playboy, I think actually. On that, which is interesting to listen to actually. Then I'm on to well, I'll not do that one next. I'll do that one. Compilation Shaved Fish. I think everybody seems to buy that as a John Lennon album. I wouldn't say it's got his best stuff on it, to be honest. It's got Imagine on it. I suppose you could buy it for Imagine. Cold Turkey's okay in small doses. Mother's okay if you can. If you want to go with that. Happy Christmas War is over, obviously. So yeah, I suppose from a point of view of not a Lennon fan, it's got the known ones on it. Live albums. Plastic Ono Band live piece in Toronto, 1969. Not bad actually. Yoko is Yoko on it. Then we've got John Lennon live in New York City. Not that into live albums, if I'm honest. 1974 with Elton John. Again, that's probably around the time of his Lost Weekend, I think 74. And then, when you're collecting something and you've got going down an avenue, sometimes you take a turn and you wonder whether you should or not. Moving on from John Lennon, Yoko Ono, It's Alright. Slightly spooky in a way, sort of Yoko with Sean and John on there, just to. But yeah, I really like Yoko Ono. I'm not convinced that she should be making music somehow. But then again, I have to admit this one now. When we all used to make compilation tapes, I did put I had a compilation tape with a copy of Don't Worry Kyoko by Yoko Ono on it because I really liked the track, which was on the B-side of Happy Christmas War is Over, I think. I was on the B-side. B-side of Imagine. It's on the B-side of Imagine. Seasons of Glass. More spookiness from Yoko Ono. It's John's glasses from when he was shot. I've actually seen those. There was an exhibition in Liverpool Yoko did of some of her art and some memorabilia, which is brilliant, to be honest. The picture up there came from that, and I think they only made about 20 or 30, and it was sort of Yoko sort of commissioned a few things to be done as to sell in the shop there. Now that was one of them. It's sort of kind of. She's a brilliant artist. I think I like a lot of what she stands for and what she does, but I think musically, I think she upsets a lot of people. And I think it's a shame because I think she's very talented in a lot of ways. And the trouble is, I didn't really stop there. So we've got three Yoko Ono albums. Fly, which was again quite a rare album. This quite interesting. Got apparently Ringo Starr is on this. So yeah, so that's John and Yoko. And then we're looking at. I'll just pull that across there. This is a bit quicker. Ringo Starr, Blast from Your Past on MFP. You're 16, just Big Up of Blues, Photograph, Back Off Boogaloo. He had some good hits actually, Ringo, and I do like Ringo. I think he was always put down, and he shouldn't have been. He was extremely talented. He was just mixing with even more talented people at the time. I can't even pronounce this. Roderick, that one. Nothing memorable on this one actually, particularly. Just bought it because it was there, but yeah. So there we are. That's the collection. I think, yeah. So it's time for the competition now. One of those albums related to a certain album cover, which is this one. When I say related to, I mean there is a link with this. This is the Mothers of Invention. It's kind of sort of Frank Zappa, live at Fillmore East, June 1971. Now there is a link to one of those albums from this album, and particularly the cover actually is featured. So which album is it? First two to give me an email with the correct answer will get a Cheshire Audio Mug. Cheshire Audio Mug. Never spilled my tea then. So there you go. Yeah. So it's the Mothers, live at Fillmore East, 1971. So what's the link? Okay, so that's the competition. Sorry about all that. Just thanks for bearing with me till the end. Don't forget to give me a subscribe and possibly even a like if you really did like it. I'll see you in a future video. Thank you very much.